This video is the fifth part of our series on philosophical values. In our first 4 videos, we discussed the question, what is value? And explored the philosophical foundations of values from ancient Greece to modern times. We also talked about how these values have changed today. If you haven't watched the first 4 parts of the series, we recommend watching them before this video. This way, you can have a better understanding of values and moral relativism. Now, let's delve deeper into our thoughts on values in the context of moral relativism. In today's world, at the heart of discussions on values and morality lie the concepts of relativism and universalism. As philosophical thought takes shape around these two concepts, the ethical issues of modern times reflect this conflict. While postmodern thought advocates moral relativism, those who defend the existence of universal values strongly argue that moral standards should apply to all humanity. Moral relativism is an approach that claims values and moral principles change from culture to culture, from person to person. Postmodern thinkers argue that there are no universal moral values, and each society or individual develops different values within their own cultural context. According to this view, moral judgments are not objective, but subjective, and what is right for one individual or society may be different for another. Postmodern philosophy emphasizes individual free will and different life experiences, arguing that there is no single correct understanding of morality. For example, while one society might consider a particular behavior morally acceptable, the same behavior could be wrong or unacceptable in another society. This shows that moral norms are shaped by a society's cultural history and experiences. Universalism, on the other hand, believes that some moral values apply to all humankind. This approach argues that people can come together around certain universal principles, and these principles are binding for all communities. For example, human rights, justice, freedom, and equality stand out as universally accepted moral norms. It is believed that these values are principles that transcend societies, protecting the dignity and rights of every human being. Universalist thinkers argue that certain ethical norms should apply across all cultures. Philosophers like Immanuel Kant argued that moral principles are unconditional and universal, developing ethical theories based on these principles. The fundamental defense of universal morality is based on protecting the common interests and dignity of humanity. Ethical issues. Today's major ethical problems can be evaluated within a context built on the tensions between these two schools of thought. Global issues have reignited the debate on whether values should be relative or universal. The environmental crisis is one of the biggest ethical problems of the modern world. Global warming, environmental pollution, and the destruction of the ecosystem pose a great threat to individuals, societies, and states. This problem makes a significant contribution to the discussions on whether values are universal or relative. From a universalist perspective, respect for nature, environmental protection, and the rights of future generations should be universal values. Protecting the environment is considered a shared responsibility for humanity, and it is argued that these responsibilities should be fulfilled by all countries. On the other hand, moral relativism may adopt a different approach to this issue. Some cultures or societies may prioritize economic development over environmental values. This situation shows that environmental values are perceived differently by different societies, and cultural differences should be considered when developing global solutions. The development of artificial intelligence technologies creates new and complex ethical issues. The need for artificial intelligence to reflect human morality in its decision-making processes and the determination of the ethical boundaries of these technologies have brought the values debate into the world of technology. Within the framework of universal values, principles such as human rights, privacy, and accountability should be fundamental in the development of artificial intelligence technologies. However, there is also a relativistic approach to AI ethics. different societies can develop different ethical rules regarding the use of artificial intelligence. For example, while privacy violations by artificial intelligence may be a cause for concern in one country, these technologies may be used more freely in another society in the name of public safety or economic benefits. This situation shows that there is a search for a balance between universal and relative values in AI ethics as well. Social inequality is an ethical issue evaluated through topics such as unfair income distribution, unequal opportunities in education, and gender discrimination. Universalism argues that universal values such as justice, equality, and human dignity apply to all humanity, and that the violation of these values threatens the social order. In contrast, moral relativism argues that different societies may develop different moral approaches to social inequalities. For example, while gender equality is seen as a fundamental right in one society, traditional gender roles may be more acceptable in another. This highlights the importance of cultural context in the issue of social inequalities and reveals the challenges of seeking a universal solution. Values and moral relativism are an important issue that continues to be discussed along with various ethical problems in the modern world. While relativism emphasizes cultural differences and individual experiences, advocating the flexibility of moral norms, universal values argue for the existence of common principles that apply to all humankind. The environmental crisis, AI ethics, and issues like social inequality are concrete reflections of this debate and show that values can be both relative and universal. Therefore, discussions on values in today's world require seeking new ways to solve social problems. See you in the 6th part of our values series on the search for a universal solution.